Your customers are craving a great tasting, authentic pizza experience. That's why we offer Primo Molino Neapolitan style flour, an affordable, high performing flour that's a great alternative to imported Italian 00 flour. It's milled right here in North America, so you can always count on authentic crust texture and taste without the imported flour price. Using an imported flour today? Check out ardentmills.com to request a sample and try it for yourself.
Welcome back to Checking In With. I am Executive Editor Denise Greer, and along with me today is Josh Keown. Hey, Josh.
Hello, Denise. Good morning.
Hello. All right. Well, we're rolling right into the new year with some new guests and some exciting adventures that they're going on to. So Chris Hansen and Miga Rossetti, from Caldera Pizzeria in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, are on the line with us. Hey, guys, how is it going?
Good.
Good.
Good
Hi.
to be here.
So fun fact real quick, Denise. Wyoming's one of the 5 states I haven't eaten pizza in yet. So I'm really, when we can travel again, I'm wanting to get right there for sure.
Jackson Hole has been on the list for so long. I've been wanting to go, not only just for the pizza, but you live in one of the most beautiful places in the United States. Like,
It's true. It's true. And we have been voted best pizza in Wyoming by a number of online publications. So hopefully when you make it here, you will.
For sure. Well, I went to your website and I clicked the YouTube link at the top, and it goes right to your webcam of the town square there. And I was like, oh, it's so beautiful this way. I watched it for like 15 minutes.
Picturesque.
It's a very popular webcam. We're not really sure why, because the town square is not the most beautiful part of Jackson Hole, but it seems to be one of the most interesting parts for a lot of people.
There were 300 people watching it as I was watching it. I was like, what's going on? Did I miss it? Is it something, a special day or something?
We just want something pretty to watch.
It actually has had its own notoriety to the point that there was a news crew from NBC's, one of their morning shows here several years ago, because that webcam just blew up. We don't know why, but it became the most popular webcam in the country for a brief period of time.
Oh, that's amazing. I'm going to have to add it to my list.
And lots of good publicity as well. So
yeah. Well, why don't we kick things off and just talk about the pizzeria first. I know you guys had to close for quite a while and then you reopened. Kind of where are you guys at today with the pizzeria?
Who wants to answer that? I'll answer that. We are open, some restaurants, not all restaurants, but like restaurants in our area that are open, we have limited seating based simply on having to keep physical distance between tables. Jackson has remained very popular because of the outdoors and the natural beauty we have, and so many other states where people might travel to being shut down. We have remained very busy and popular. In fact, we had a very busy summer. If we weren't limited by our seating capacity, we probably would see business stronger than we have in the last couple of years. So that part has been good. When the pandemic first hit, we did close for a month in April, which is a slow time for us anyway. It's pretty much the slowest time. It's very off season, and not knowing what to expect, it was easy for us to close at the time. Our governor did not allow any dine-in in any restaurants at that time, but being pizza, takeout was very easy. But we did close for April, and then when we opened back up in May, we were able to do takeout. We did do some delivery for a short period of time. It's not something we normally do, but we did do delivery for a while.
It's a pretty spread out valley, so delivery is rough.
It's a challenge because when people want delivery, we're busy, and it's hard for us to manage it. And then when we're not so busy, delivery is not a big thing and it doesn't make much money. But it seemed during that time it was the appropriate thing to do. And then we got back open again in May, but open to dine in around Memorial Day weekend. And we've had to do all of the things that other restaurants have to do with physical distancing and cleaning and whatnot. But it's been, I would say business as usual, although running a restaurant during a pandemic is anything but usual. It's it's stressful on many fronts.
So the busyness is good for business, but it's not good for the mental state.
Yeah,
right.
I can imagine.
But we're still in business, which is good.
Yeah.
And as I know you want to talk about, we've been able to transition to another aspect of our business as well. So I don't know if you want to get into that now or not.
Yeah, let's jump right into that, because I think so many people are curious about what you've done with a frozen product. So why don't you just kind of share how did you get it going? And you're doing Neapolitan. How are you doing that in frozen?
The thing is, Josh, you don't have to come to Wyoming. We will send this to you.
All right.
Great.
But we still
We'll
want to
do
come
a
to
full
Wyoming.
video on it, but we still want to come to Wyoming. Yeah.
Well, while we were shut down in April, it was towards the end of April, and the state was trying to figure out how to help businesses. And I read on the state of Wyoming website that the state was giving $5,000 grants to any business that needed to transition and retool what they were doing. And they were kind of thinking of laptops at home for workers. But I called them up and I said, hey, we've been talking about doing frozen pizzas for a couple of years, but we really didn't have the bandwidth, even though the idea was there. And while we were shut, I was like, Chris, it's time. We got to do this. And we bought a new freezer, shrink wrap machine, some shipping materials, with this small state grant, and it was just what we needed to launch it. And we came up with a new website via Shopify, which is so great to sell things. And then we started selling the frozen pizzas right away. We, had to figure out what was the best way to par cook them, flash freeze them, wrap them so they still look beautiful. We made stickers for the front of them. The shipping has evolved for sure. It's not the easiest thing to ship a Napolitano style pizza because it's thin. Those big Chicago deep dish ones with an inch or two of cheese, they ship really quick.
They're like trucks. Yeah.
Right.
Like a brick.
So that's what started it, and we got a lot of interest right away. And then we had done that for about a month, and then we started thinking, now we're shipping pizzas from Jackson Hole with featured Wyoming ingredients like bison and elk and sage. Now we're representing Jackson, and we are shipping these out across the country, which was very different from our original desire and messaging of bringing Napolitano Italian true pizza to Jackson. So it was sort of this reverse.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we decided we need to rebrand this frozen pizza company to represent Jackson. And so I spent about a month with designing a new logo. We came up with the name Jackson Hole Free Range Pizza. And we built a new Shopify website. And it says Jackson Hole Free Range Pizza by Pizzeria Caldera. But so that brought us into this entirely separate company, which we hadn't expected. But we did all that before we launched into sales with Goldbelly.
Yeah, we had an opportunity through another restaurateur in town who's a friend of mine that has a variety of products that they're selling on Goldbelly. We actually had also been turned on to Goldbelly by some friends over in Sun Valley, Idaho, who have a pie company, not pizza pie, but actually pie. It's called Pidaho. So give them a little plug.
That's so cute.
They have just been knocking it out of the park. We had mutual friends who had sent us some pies, and when we received them, we were like, "Oh man, we really should be doing this with our pizza."
Yeah.
And then I got an introduction to them and
To Goldbelly.
Well, to the Pidaho folks first, and then I got a lot of information about how to set up the website and the logistics and whatnot. And then they were getting on Goldbelly, and then a local restaurateur friend of mine had a connection. Gave us an introduction with Goldbelly, and it took us almost all summer to get up and running with them. And that's the time frame where we said, hey, wait a minute, I think if we're taking our pizzas out to the wider world, we should rebrand this. And so we did. We set it up as its own separate LLC, and everything is separated out. So we actually have two pizza companies now, Pizzeria Caldera and Jackson Hole Free Range Pizza. And so, and now we've been on Goldbelly since about September, and sales, I mean, I'm not going to say they're skyrocketing, but things are definitely picking up. We saw quite a few sales over the holidays. We were pretty busy.
Now, take us through the, sorry, Josh.
No, you're right on the same question. So
probably right on the same question there, but I'm curious about like the space it takes up. Are you using a different space, or are you using your pizzeria space to cooperate this other business as well?
Yeah, we're using the same space. We had some concerns not knowing, what the demand was going to be and how much production space we would need. It's definitely gotten a little tighter in our kitchen with the introduction of a new freezer. That's really the only big equipment that we've had to purchase. What we've really had to do is kind of schedule our staff a little bit differently in order to meet the production demands. And we don't always know what it's going to be. So, we're establishing kind of baseline pars that we need to keep on hand.
Yeah.
And so we try to have a couple people 2 or 3 nights a week doing a late night shift for about 3 hours, where they'll bake the pizzas and wrap them and have them ready to go. And then slower times, like, fall is off season, is pretty slow around here too. So they can keep up with some of that production during the day. It actually helps a lot because, sometimes we have days where it's just really slow and I've got to let somebody go home early. Well, now I can actually, keep some of these people around during the day and pay them a little bit more to keep that frozen production going.
have you had to make any changes to your pizza for the frozen product?
No, we really haven't. We've kept the same ingredients. We treat it all the same way. We par bake them. I'd say about 60% done, so that it maintains its shape and looks a bit like a frozen. Look like more like a complete pizza than a frozen pizza. And also so we can handle it a little bit. And then once they have cooled, then we get them in the freezer and flash freeze them. It takes about a half hour or so, and then we can take them out and wrap them. We have changed a few things, like, for example, a pepperoni pizza. We don't actually bake the pepperonis on there. We make it a cheese pizza, and then we lay the pepperonis on. It just looks better in packaging. So there's been some things that we've adjusted a little bit just based on how it presents in the package.
But we've been really thrilled at how well they translate from frozen back to fresh. We had experimented with par bake for a few years and recommended to some people who live further in the valley that when you get takeout, hey, just par bake them. And once the customer receives them, they can store them in the freezer or they can cook them that day. But we tell them to turn their oven to 500 degrees, and depending on your oven, in 4 to 6 minutes, it cooks up, really, really much quicker than a regular frozen pizza, and it tastes like it came out of our oven.
Yeah.
It's been great.
Do you
Wonderful.
offer them tips on what they need to use to make it? Like, are they, don't use a stone, or do you have a cooking device that's in there with it, or do you make any recommendations for them?
We tell people to put it straight on the rack.
Oh, yeah.
Metal. Stone is fine. Stone works great, but we just say put it right on the rack.
Yeah, because the pizza already has some structural integrity from being baked a little bit. It doesn't need to go on a pizza stone. In fact, we found it actually is better to just throw it right on the rack. Now, if I was going to bake a fresh pizza in there and put raw dough on, absolutely you'd need a pizza stone for that.
Yeah. Now, how does the finished product? It couldn't probably compare to using a gas-fired or coal-fired oven. But is it pretty close on what the bake looks like in the home ovens?
Yeah, it is.
It's very similar. Of course, you're relying on the customer to do their best to cook it properly, not burn it or whatever, which I'm sure has happened a few times because it does happen so quickly. The bake happens so quickly at 500 or 550. And that's what, ours is a Napolitana style pizzeria. We say style because there are some things that we do that are not traditional. We would not qualify as Verace Napolitana. One of those is that our oven is not hot enough. We bake about 550 degrees because that's the recipe that I actually formulated for our dough in my home oven. So we're kind of full circle here, where 10 years ago, when I was trying to figure out how to make pizza, I did it at home, and now we're baking these back at home again.
The word pivot has been overused way too much this year or last year, but man, you guys nailed it though. I mean, that is being on top of your game right there. Just finding the demand and jumping all in for it.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, most definitely. And man, if there's one recommendation you could give to other operators on how they can find success doing this kind of thing, what would that be?
I think it'd be to start simple with a few different pizzas, test out how they do bake up. Everybody's is going to be a little different, but try your regular pizza, par bake it, freeze it, leave it in there for a week like the average person's going to, and then figure out at what temperature for how long you can best replicate it so it gets exactly like, or it tastes as close as it can to what it would be like out of your oven. We have also found that selling to some small shops locally, not like big grocery store chains, but small kind of Gucci shops, has been a really, really strong outlet for the frozen pizzas. Our neighbors are like, oh yeah, I picked up a pizza at the Aspens yesterday. And it's more convenient for them than coming to our shop. And so we've been surprised at how well just in the community, our same frozen pizzas that they've been buying for years at the restaurant are making them happy because, it's COVID, nobody's going out to eat, and it's Friday night and you didn't plan. And now you've got Pizzeria Caldera already in your freezer. You don't have to plan it.
Just real quick, how does that work with the shops around town? Or do they place an order? Or do you guys call them up, say, hey, how much do we need? How does that work?
Well, to be clear, our model has been direct to consumer. So we're really not focused so much on selling to local shops. We're in two small grocery stores that are owned by the same people, primarily because they approached us, and one of their owners was a friend and a customer to begin with. And he said, hey, I heard you doing the frozen thing. You want to sell them at our stores? And we're like, yeah, we'll give it a try. We did actually approach another locally owned grocery store, natural food store in town, and they have said they would give us a space in their freezer, and we've declined because we're just not sure we can keep up with the demand, and because our focus is direct to consumer. And we feel like, at our price point, that's a better place for us to be, so that we can fulfill those orders and send them out to people. Whereas if you were to go to the store and buy, a Napolitana style pizza for $18, there's a lot of competition there on that shelf for frozen pizzas. We feel ours is worth it, but I don't know that everybody's gonna feel that way. So direct to consumer is a better price point and better position for our product.
That's awesome. The only other question I had for you was kind of a follow-up to where you were talking about your employees. How are you able to, divide out that payroll between the two companies since they're completely different companies, but you're using the same employee base?
Well,
good question.
That when I do the books as well, and it's like, no way, we can't do it. So what we do is we simply do everything through Pizzeria Caldera normally, but then Jackson Hole Free Range Pizza buys the pizzas from Caldera. So the cost of goods is a complete pizza. And then every month I invoice all the pizzas that Pizzeria Caldera made, and then Free Range Pizza buys them. And so there is no payroll in Free Range Pizza.
Fantastic idea.
Sounds like you've thought of everything. That's amazing.
I was looking for the best solution for that. The easiest.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course you still hear this heat. Sorry.
Totally
But,
fine, Denise.
Miga's point, when you asked what do you recommend for other operators, it really is keeping it simple. I mean, that's kind of been the secret to business for us. We've avoided getting bigger with the business in a lot of ways, just simply because keeping it simple makes more sense.
A lot less headaches. A lot less headaches.
Got enough of them as it is.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, and I think when you're a owner manager, you just got to make it stay sane.
Yeah, right. Well, thank you guys so much. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you guys today, and best of luck with the restaurant and the frozen business and everything. And hopefully, we'll see you soon.
If not at Expo, we'll get out there.
If we have to drive.
Yeah.
I'm not
If we
sure
have to
how many
drive
hours
it,
that
we're
would
going to
be.
go. So, all right. Take care and have a great week.
Thank you guys. Really appreciate it.
Thank
Thanks.
you. Bye-bye.